Where's the fucking intro? There it is.
This guy's called the Standing Streamer.
From Wrestling with Regret, you're watching Putting You Over.
How's it going, everybody? What's going on? I do not have my headphones on, so I can't hear my audio level. There it is. From Parts Unknown is right. Vanessa's in the chat. D-Rod is here. Blowout Man. B to the O to the B. Bob. Welcome, everybody, to Putting You Over on a Thursday. Happy Thursday. I'm real excited about tonight's show. Very excited. We have, we're going to talk all things wrestling. Whatever you guys want to talk about tonight, I'm open. We had the Wednesday Night Wars last night. We can definitely get into that. Also, we have our guest tonight, and that is none other than PCO, former Ring of Honor World Champion, the man who is not human, will join us tonight for a few. And I'm excited. I'm very excited. I've passed along the notes to Vanessa, and she says, and I quote, "Man, that's a lot of notes." And I said, well, it is a lot of notes, but a lot of them go hand in hand with each other. So I might ask something or say something, and it's a lot of notes, but I think we're going to do a good job. No retribution on NXT. That is something very interesting. Yes, good point. Good point, B.O.B. I think you're right. I also have the chat up here tonight, so if you see me looking like this a lot, I'm reading the chat. Different building. Vanessa is always here to ruin our fun. I am going to turn this... Anyways, as we wait for PCO to show up, I do have my notes ready to go. I am drinking the guest beer tonight because I am all out of Rolling Rock. But you have to have a beer when you're standing at the bar. Otherwise, there's just no point to stand at the bar. No one drinks coffee at the bar. And then we'll jump into that. I mean, if you don't know who PCO is, hopefully after tonight you will, and you'll learn more about him. You'll go search out his matches, and it'd be great. Here we go. Showtime. There he is. How you doing, sir? I can hear you. Wait for him to connect to his audio. How you doing tonight, Mr. PCO?
Hey, I'm doing great. What about you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. We're just standing around here, waiting for you to come in, having a good old time. How you doing on this fine? What is it? Thursday? It's crazy. Like in this pandemic age, I have no idea what day of the week it is. So
Yeah, I think it's Thursday.
it is a Thursday. Yeah. Um, how are you holding up during the pandemic?
I've been busier than ever. I
Bit,
mean, so much thing to do. We're shooting a lot of stuff for PCO Justice. Monday night
yep.
PCO and Distro, and we're busy shootings. We're busy training a lot. I hit the gym twice a day, and just doing different things. Writing the scenarios and meetings with the companies on Zoom, and also there's I started to arm wrestle a little bit, so
Oh, really?
we do, yeah. I'm just yeah, yeah. I just started to train for that. Like I've been doing a lot of hands training lately, but I've been having a few matches lately, so it's just doing things that I have fun with.
Yes, and that's important to have fun. Whose idea was it for you to start arm wrestling? Is that the mad brilliance of Destro?
Yeah, because he's a finished last year second in the Canadian Open,
Oh,
Canadian Championship on his divisions, and he's really good and treats his strengths and all that. So it's part of the workout. So we got a regular workout, and then we got the hands workout, and then we got the arm wrestling workout, and then we got the wrestling workout. We're just
geez.
busier than
Yeah.
ever, and I have my 11 years old daughter. So school's gonna start only in
Oh,
2 weeks from now.
yep.
So it's just been a blast. I mean, and in Canada, uh, it feels like the curve is flattened.
Yeah.
There's no more deaths. There's no more people getting hospitalized for the last week or last 2 weeks maybe, or last week. I guess I don't know how it is in Ontario. In Quebec, we're fine. For the last 4 or 5 days, I think there's no deaths, no new deaths,
Well,
and
that's great there.
we found out like 90% of those people came from nursing houses, and so there's a lot going on in Montreal
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, it's moving. It's a big. People are. Some of the people are for a mask, or some are against the mask. The freedom, the liberties.
Mhm.
This so many things going on.
Yeah, it's the same thing here, and we don't want to dwell on this, but it's the same thing over here. Wear the mask, don't wear the mask, this and that. Our curve is nowhere near Canada's, and school is. I have three daughters myself. One is 11 years old. The others are 7 and 3. School's starting up. The 11-year-old's only going to go 2 days a week in person. The rest is virtual. The 7-year-old is not going to go in person because
Oh,
that's our choice. Uh,
yeah.
she
Where do you live? Where do you live at?
I'm in upstate New York. I'm like in Albany, New York.
Okay.
My producer's in Ontario, but
Yeah, that's what I heard. I've seen
yep,
Ontario,
yep.
but I know New York. Like I know like Andrew Cuomo like takes this very seriously and everything. So and he has done a great job.
Yes,
So
yep.
it's a different story over
It,
there. Yeah.
it's tough because it's just tough. Like my 7-year-old has anxiety issues, and she's
Oh, okay.
it's just tough. And like today, we had to send an email to my shoot job, which is an actual school where I take my youngest daughter with me, and I had to say that I wasn't coming back in September because I have to stay home with the middle one and homeschool her. But that's what we're doing right now, and I'm lucky
Yeah.
enough to have that luxury where I can stay home. My wife will work from home still, but it just sucks. No, it just sucks.
Yeah, I know. I mean, for us, for our wage, like we had plans on,
Mm-hmm.
going live in June or July. We're supposed to go live on, I believe it was Thursday night, and
Yeah.
really ready to battle and to do great business and to do good ratings and to transform, what our ROH was as far as the TV production and not the production of the show, but producing a live content show on a weekly basis in front of a large, larger, maybe ROH TV reaches like over 500,000 people a week, but it's all on different time slots and
Yeah. Yeah.
different areas and different syndicated TV stations. But to be able to go on one station and to be at 8 and all at the same times and to have like a bigger audience, all together. And we were really looking forward to that. And then that crisis stroke and like just like you said, I think it changed so many plans for so many people, and just that to be, in my case, to be creative
Yep.
and come up with content, to be up there and to be able to show something, to entertain people, and to develop the character in a way that it should have been developed with wrestling. But since we couldn't do it, we did something pretty cool with it. So
And speaking of Ring of Honor, in this pandemic did come at the worst time. It came like right before the Crockett Cup, which Ring of Honor and NWA have that working relationship, and I'm convinced some big things might have gone down there to help both companies, and it didn't come out. But the PCO character in Ring of Honor, like that was the resurrection, man. And we're gonna touch back on your early days, but that resurrection, the birth of PCO and Ring of Honor, how did that come about?
well, first it came from having a huge tour of all the indie companies across the U.S. From Texas to Portland, Oregon, or Seattle to
Ooh.
New York, L.A. I mean, Denver and Louisiana and all over the place. I mean, I had a bunch of matches in 2017 and a few the beginning of 2018, and then at WrestleMania 34, I had that match against Walter
Yeah, the
for
Walter match.
GCW.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Georgia Spring Break 2. And for different reasons, it just happened that we crushed it. We totally had like not once in a lifetime, but maybe 5, 10 in a lifetime. I mean, one of those matches that it's gonna be memorable forever.
It was match of the
way.
weekend. It was match of the weekend.
I mean, also just been a while outside the U.S. market as a wrestler and being there against Walter. Like people didn't know what to expect at all because they hadn't seen me in a while.
Yeah, I
and
bet.
and Joey Janela was like booking with Danny Demento and Brett Lauderdale, and they were like, people were questioning this PCO Pierre. I don't know what you guys are thinking. And then I remember walking in there, and it was so cold. And then by mid match, when we started like exchanging on huge chops back and forth, and then
Vicious chops.
oh yeah, it was vicious. It was so well done, and then it's not like we practiced like anything. I got there, just in the afternoon, and it just clicked, and then the crowd erupted like they were saying, they were sitting up, enjoying it a decent match. And at one point in the match, I don't know what made them click. If it was the chops exchange or the all the crazy things that I started doing, like the moonsault off the top rope, was nobody there to catch, basically. Or you know, a split-legged moonsault and a bunch of things that made it just like so special. And it was an eruption, you know. The people just all got up and then started like cheering crazy. And, then I got the win, and then it was like a big standing ovation, and not just for my win, but I think it was for both of us, for me and Walter, like having a great match, and that it went viral all over the media. Like, you know, Twitter and Facebook and everywhere. It went like totally viral, and after that, every promoter wanted to get me in their show. So I did like huge tournaments like SCI in Chattanooga. I did Bola for PWG. I did a bunch of main events. I got hired from MLW, and then I remember when I started with MLW, like they wanted to bring me in after a month, like one show, the first show. Then they came back after the battle royal. They adjust things and put me over on different things, and then it started like running promos, and then they started to main event me like every month. And then I went to Germany for WXW. Had an awesome match with Ilya Dragunov, and then matches with Walter a few more times. I just wrestled basically like Matt Riddle, all the great talents on the indie scenes, Joey Janela at the time. This maybe Keith Lee a little bit, like he had been signed, so I didn't have the chance to wrestle him. But just had the chance to wrestle every single like top indie workers, and then a bunch of companies wanted to hire me. I think first was Impact Wrestling. Then I had like a meeting with ROH, and AEW showed some interest, but I had already committed to ROH, so it was like almost too late, and didn't have a TV deal at that time. They only had a few shows booked, for a year, so I just decided to go with Ring of Honor, and making sure that we were gonna keep that path that I've been working on, that keep that monster alive and keep that, he's not human, and keep doing the things that I've been doing. And then 2019 was an incredible run.
It sure was, yes.
World Tag Team Champs, Brody King, World Six-Man Tag Champ with Brody and Marty and Dylan and the prizes. And then the Crockett Cup and NWA Crockett Cup, NWA World Tag Team Champs, and to top it all off, the World Heavyweight title that I won at the final battle in December at Baltimore, the UMBC Arena. And it's just been a great run, it's just been awesome.
Is that World Championship win in December at Final Battle the highlight of your career?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. No, it's not enough for me to say, I've done what I've had to do in this business. I had higher goals. Not that I don't want to diminish the goal, but the goal for me was to draw, like an awesome gate, like 100,000 people or so, and to draw also a tremendous like buy rate, just something like like Cena and Rock had done at one point, I think, and like McGregor and Mayweather, that was huge, and just hoping for 2021 or somewhere around there that organically something will take place like that. I don't know if it's gonna be um, maybe two promotions working together. I really don't know. All I focus on the end goal, and I let life organize everything. Because when I try to think how it's gonna come around, I could have never guessed, or I could have never imagined that one match with Black Label Pro, that Joey Janela would be there watching, where I killed it with
Right.
All Ego Ethan Page, would have brought me to WrestleMania 34 and would have done all the damage that I did after that. I could never wrote a scenario like that. That was just happened. I the only thing I had envisioned was the end result
Yeah.
earlier on in my life, but never tried to figure out how it's gonna happen.
How it's gonna get there?
Just
It's just like writing a
yeah,
feud. You start at the end and figure out how you're gonna get there on the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Things will things will get it. We'll shift in the right place at the right time.
Yes, it sure will. And I wanna jump back a bit to your early days, before the resurrection of the man PCO. You had you spent a lot of time on the indie scene, like 8 years on the indie scene before you got discovered for that first run in WWF. Um,
Yeah,
so how does that come about? I think my notes are correct. You were over in England, I think,
yeah,
with
yeah.
Dickinson. And how does that even come about? That first run with the WWF?
Yeah. Well, it started when I was 16, and then where I started, it was a lot of guys that I did
Yeah.
like two different territories back then, indie territories.
Yep.
Either New York or Puerto Rico or CWA, Catch Wrestling Association for auto bands like UFO. Bob Della Sera like, was a huge star there, and CWA was huge, and I've heard like great story from Europe, from Germany, from England, but I didn't have any contacts there. So the first guys who really helped me out, he was an undercard worker. He was a ring builder for the show, had a ring crew. His name was the farmer Louis Lawrence, and
Huh.
then he got me in touch with a girl in Toronto. Her name was Lori Joyce, and she booked me on my first indie show outside of where I was wrestling in a little town of not a little town, but a little small place in Montreal, and it was like the wrestling school basically. And then
Yeah.
I got out because we were doing match every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. That's free and $2 to get in for fans. It's where I broke in, and it's where everybody broke in Montreal. Pat Patterson, the Rougeau brothers, everybody broke in there. I broke in there, and from there it was like, okay, what's next now? And then I figured out that if I don't get on the road, nothing's gonna move, nothing's gonna happen. So I got that chance. I went to Toronto. I worked with a guy called Steve Irwin.
Oh,
Make a long story short, The Rock's dad was on the show. Rocky and Ricky Johnson. They
yeah.
tag team together.
Rest in
I had the
peace.
chance to. I was always big heroes there. When I was a kid, I was 16, 17. I was listening to what those guys had to say about the business. And, they were laid back, having a little beer after the show and talking. I made that guy as Steve Irwin look pretty good. That was his first match ever in Toronto. So
Wow.
eventually, his dad was working legitimately for a huge company in England. So he brought his son with him, and the son started to wrestle for Brian Dixon.
Yep.
So I stayed in touch with Steve, which I had my first match against, and he said, "Hey, call Brian. Uh, he's getting new guys. He wants new faces, new talent." So I got there with my partner, and we started there, right in England. I mean, I had been very unsuccessfully going to Calgary. I couldn't make the roster there. I was trying hard, I was traveling to Edmonton, to Calgary, to with Stu Hart, trying to get Stu to get me a match, trying to get Bruce Hart to get me a match. Couldn't get a match. Came back empty hands in Montreal. Then I went for Rene Dupre's dad, Emile Dupre's in the Maritimes. Got laid off after the first month because I was on top, wrestling the Booker Bulldog Bob Brown from Kansas City and Masahiro Chono, who was my age. We were both young kids, and I was messing up a lot of spots. My English wasn't that good, so I couldn't hear well. When they would call a spot to me, like when Bob would call a spot to me, then I would just screw it up. So didn't have enough fire, didn't have enough this, didn't have enough that. Wasn't supposed to be in that business. So anyways, I got cut from the crew and came back here, and then started calling Brian Dixon early in the morning because of the time change.
Yeah.
I put my alarm early. And he said, yeah, send some pictures and some photos. And then we got booked. We got there, and 20 pounds wages a day. You know, it's 20 pounds is $40 back then.
20 quid.
Working seven days a week and traveling like, I don't know how many miles, 2,000 miles per week. I don't know. It was a crazy ride. It was crazy. But we did great business. We ended up with a raise and finished. We were making 35 pounds at the end of the tour. Got booked in Germany for Rene Lastes, which is a middle place between Auto Vans and, let's say, you know, it was like just a step before Auto. Chris Jericho worked there too, and a bunch of guys worked for Rene. And I was one of Rene's favorites, so I would always finish. Let's say if Rene would win the tournament, I'd finish second in the tournament like for a couple of years, and then eventually I got picked up by Auto Vans, and then I really did very good there for myself. So they offered me. I did 92, and they signed me up for 93 for the whole tour for 6 months. A great salary, good salary at that time, around $1,500 per week.
Nice.
Which was decent,
at that time, yeah.
And then when I came back, because their tour was from April to December, and then when I came back for Christmas, I received a call from Carlos Colon to go to Puerto Rico. I had been sending so many packages over the years. So finally they called me back. At first I was calling them. They didn't know who I was. They didn't want to hear anything from me. The secretary was saying, no, they're busy. They're not there. And then I was shocked. Carlos was on the phone asking me that I wanted to join and be there. And said, tomorrow you fly from Montreal to JFK to Puerto Rico.
Oh, boy.
And here I was, you know, wrestling on top against Jose Gonzalez, the guy who killed Dozier.
I was going to say, were you nervous going over there?
Yeah, man. I was nervous a little bit. You know, when I got the most nervous about the whole thing was when they start not to pay me, you know, for maybe 5-6 weeks. And then I was talking with some of the boys, and guys were like 12 weeks behind and 20 weeks behind and that many weeks behind. And then eventually I made my mind. I said, okay, I've been calling my mom a few times to Western Union with some money, so I'm saying to myself, I can't put debts on top of debts like that. It was rough, you know. It was a cheap hotel, air conditioning wasn't working. I was not getting paid. It was hard, you know. No hot water on the road. You know, when we wrestle in Puerto Rico, there were only cold showers. It's just not that bad, you know, because it's out on the island, but there's no comfort whatsoever. You're very outside your comfort zone. You really have to grind. You know, it's not like the Puerto Rican guys, they go back to their house, things like that. But we're having like not greatest conditions. So I decided I was going to leave the island because I couldn't make it anymore. And then they called me back home and they said, hey, we need you. Why did you leave? I said, well, I can't make it. You you don't pay me every week, there's no way I can stay there.
Yeah.
So we'll square off with you and come back. We'll square off with you. We'll pay for your flight
Oh boy.
tomorrow. And then that's when you get nervous.
Yeah, yeah, right. I'm thinking, don't go, don't go.
Should I go or I don't go?
No.
Well, they seem to be pretty sincere about it. It was pure logical. I couldn't survive on the island without getting paid. It was just common sense. And they had me on top too. So they started to pay. They squared off with me, and from that day on they paid me every week, and everything went well. And then they were bringing more talents, like bringing guys from WCW and WWF, and then eventually Jacques Rougeau came on the island and wrestled Carlos, and I was on the crew. And then he saw me, and I spoke to him in French, and then looked at me. Where are you from? Same place that you are. And then, how come I don't know you? How long you been working? 8 years, but all over Europe and things like that. So we never heard of me. Watched some of my matches, and then called Vince. And, had tryouts for WWF in Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina. Came back, and 2-3 months after, we were put us together as the Quebecers. And then after my tryouts, it took maybe 2 months before everything got put together. And then when I found out, after I had toured in Japan for Wing, I came back to Puerto Rico and finished like there, and then I went back to Montreal, and then we set up a ring in Jacques' backyard, and we started practicing like every day, tag team moves and bringing guys into just work on our chemistry and executions and things like that. Really worked hard. And then we had like Jacques' nephew, which is Dennis Gauthier Jr., was got drafted by the Calgary Flames. And I remember his sister Joanne, the mother of Dennis Jr.
Oh.
She was like, she came out on the balcony sometimes. Guys, you take care of him. He's going to be worth millions of dollars in a couple of years from now. Don't injure him. She was like so paranoid. We're doing the tower on him. We're doing like the leg drop Boston crab. And she's going crazy. He's a first round pick.
Don't touch the merchandise.
Yeah, he was like, he had played the junior for Team Canada. They had won the gold medal. So it was funny. It was just funny, and then we were ready when we started on TV. We made an impact right away.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You guys. Won the straps, I believe, pretty early. As you get in there.
September 13th, 1993.
Yeah.
So against the Steiner brothers and on Raw, and that's on the that was on the special 25th anniversary of the special Raw edition on the DVDs or whatever. And it was the beginning of Raw '93 too. We're having good numbers. We're doing like for a show just started on the cable company on USA Network, USA. 2.2 and 2.3, and Vince was really super, super happy with the ratings when we first started having Raw. Really, in a very good mood. Very good mood. Very happy about everything.
One thing that I always remember from that time, because that was right in my heyday as a fan, was your feud. I believe it could have been, I want to say 1995, maybe. I can't remember.
Right on. You're right on.
95, your feud with Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it culminated at In Your House. What is that experience like, being a man of your nature, a Canadian wrestler as well, in a feud with Bret Hart, basically the excellence of execution?
couldn't have asked for a better matchup for me. When they first, like had proven myself, had wrestled like many main events, like WrestleMania 10,
Yeah.
and main evented like the Forum a few times, and especially the Jacques Rougeau retirement match where it like sold out, and you have like a WrestleMania event because the whole roster was on end, like Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Double J, Jeff Jarrett, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, like everybody was wrestling under us. So, and everybody came to Montreal to witness that show, and it was supposed to be on Coliseum Video, and it was not because of big falling out, Jonathan Vince, but Vince is on end in Montreal with everybody, Jerry Briscoe and Bruce Pritchard and Pat Patterson. So I think for me that was a big test, and I felt like I had they gave me a $5,000 bonus on top of my payday. So I guess they were pretty impressed with the way that I handled the main event, and being undefeated for 8 months as Jean-Pierre Lafitte was another proof that Vince really liked my work and really liked what I was doing. But before they put me in a program with Bret, we had to wrestle them, and Bruce came to me and said, "It's going to be like a test road for you, to do well against Bret tonight, and might have like a rivalry or a feud with him." So was in Nashville, and your house is the dark. It was the last match of the night. Tore it up, and then we came back for another in your house, and this one was like a semi-main event or something. I wasn't way up on the card, I guess, and we crushed it, and then we stayed married a little bit. Me and Bret for like 3 to 4 months. We feuded like all over the States and basically a lot in Europe as well, like Germany, England.
Yeah.
And that was one of the greatest, happiest time and greatest time of my life, discussing the excellence of the executions, like night after night, and just learning from one of the great technicians, in our industry.
I bet.
So it was very, it was an honor, and it was a privilege, and it was a good fit, and Bret was became good friends, me and Bret.
Yeah.
I mean, during that period of time, we did. It's hard to get close to Bret. It was hard to get very friendly with Bret. Not for the feud or for matches, but they used to call him the Lonely Wolf a little bit. Like he was like going out on himself, and pretty much riding by himself. It was very by himself. He was like. I guess he was trying to avoid problems, or the blah blah blah, or I don't know. Always polite, always very professional, and but every time that we would share the dressing rooms together or had to put a match together, he was on his day all the time. He's always nice to be around, and it was a good, could put a good joke here and there sometimes too. It made me laugh a few times. So it was nice being around him.
Do you still keep in touch with Bret? You still friends with him?
Just when I see him, whenever we didn't never exchange. We did exchange phone numbers for that pay-per-view or other events, where Bret was so professional that he would say, just give me a call. So we kind of laid out the structure of the match, and then so when we got there, we pretty much we knew where we were going, what kind of direction we would take, and went a little bit about what was coming up. So he was that much of a professional, and but every time that the chance to cross paths with him, tremendous respect, and just the fact that he put me on the best list, best matches of his life on the Bret Hart Dungeon Collection DVD. That meant a lot to me.
We have a question in the chat because we're live on on Twitch tonight. We have a question, and Roadshow asks, are there any talents during that era? So let's say the era that you were feuding with Bret, so 95 era. Are there any talents during that era in the WWF that you didn't get to work with that you really wish you did?
Well, I had one, if not maybe a couple more. One for sure in Montreal, I remember, with John Michaels.
Yeah.
And I really wished that I would have, like, if we could get along better, because we were like, I always like admire his work. He's one of my best. I rate him as one of the best worker ever. When I wrestled him, I had the time of my life because he can really make you look good. He's a hell of a bumper, and just knows how to make it, like, work. It just have, he knows what button to press to make it work. And can make you look like so good. And then he made me look so like $1,000,000 in Montreal, and wrestled them. And I wish I could have had like a run with him. I shot like Vince an idea for a feud for me and Sean, but it never happened. And that was after when we got along together. Like at one point, everybody knows that me and the Clique never got along that much.
Yeah.
At all. It didn't get along at all. But it's funny how things change, because now I won't say that Kevin Nash is one of my best friends, but he's a good friend of mine. That's someone that makes me laugh, and I enjoy being around him now. And it's just that point was so competitive. It was, all the boys it felt like we're in the jungle or we're at wars. I don't know what it was. It was just something up in the air, like Sean was very cocky, very confident, and that made guys being, mad at him because the way he was portraying himself as being part of the office almost, or being so important that just pissed off a lot of guys. But his work rate and the way he worked, nobody never questioned the talent that he had and how great he was. But as a person, it was just a different story. But for me to fall into that trap and to be, to go and to be at war with him or with them, I think I didn't show any mass that I was mastering my mind or myself better than them. I put myself at their level.
Yeah.
By acting like they were acting. If they were acting cocky, I would throw back cockiness at them. If they were acting superior, I would show that I was superior to them. And if they didn't want to do something, then I would show that I didn't want to do things if I wanted not to do things either. So I did put myself at their level, so I can't criticize.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do any better at the end of the day. But I wish I could have had like a big feud with him. I think
Sean.
It would have been crazy.
You said something in there in the click and the competitiveness at that time. Is it like that today? Because you're still in locker rooms today. You're with the boys today in today's day and age. Do you feel that same competitiveness?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same, but it's less outspoken.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps it to himself more. With the click, it was really, really loud. It was
like,
really,
what's
we're
worse?
the Yeah, we're the kings of the rings, and we're this. And Sean would come out and had a great match and say, try to top that match. And he would brag. On top of being cocky, he would brag about himself, and he had the reason to brag, but it just pissed people off so much that the dressing room got so mad, and there was so many cliques, and it divided a lot of people, you know.
Yeah.
But it still is like that. Now it's on a lower level, but the mindset is still the same. You know, everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants to be involved. Everybody wants to be in the main storylines, and that's the nature of the sport. You know, any sports. You know, so you want to be on the edge and compete and be the difference maker.
There's two more in the past questions I have, and then we're gonna get more to what got going on today. And I'm gonna skip over your time in WCW, and I'm gonna go back to it. But I'm very interested in, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were in the Brawl for All in the WWF or E. How was that pitched to you, and was it what you expected?
Yeah. It was okay. The way it was pitched to me, I was like 98 and 1998, 1999. I had signed like a decent, great deal with WWF, and I think it was WWEF, World Wrestling Entertainment Federation at that time. They knew they were going to move to WWE eventually. But it was pitched like, this is so funny. It's funny because I met Bruce Hart. I've worked with him for MLW before he resigned with Vince. And I met him on a different occasion. He was not my boss. You know, he was. I met him at PW Pro Wrestling Tees at the store in Chicago. I was there, and he was signing there, and I was there visiting the store, meeting people, and we had a great chat, like me and you tonight. You know, not on a different level. I'm your boss, you're my employees. There was no bullshit. You know, it was all sincerity. And I didn't bring that up to him. I didn't say, Bruce, you made me laugh the day that you called me for Brawl for All. You're such an asshole, or you're such a worker, or you know, I could have said it. You know, it was the time to do it. But he goes, I picked up the phone, and I had a big family party that day. We're in the pool during summertime. You know, hey, Carl, this is Bruce Richard. How are you, man? I'm great. What about you? Yeah, it's great. Vince got a great idea for you. Oh, Vince, I'm like, whoa, yeah. I put the phone there. I'm like, whoa, that sounds pretty interesting. What is it? He goes, oh, we're going to do a tournament with 16 guys. It's going to be a shoot, you know, like you're going to shoot. It's going to be a real fights, you know, with 20 ounces glove, and you can hit yourself in the face for real. And that's interesting. And then it's going to be 5 points, you know, when you hit the target, and the body shot is like 2 points, 5 points to the head, and 5 points for a takedown. Oh, that sounds good. And I'm thinking in my head, what's the takedown? I had no knowledge at all about the UFC back then. Now, I know it exists, but I never went to amateur wrestling, or that wasn't part of my, never liked amateur wrestling. So a double leg down or single leg down, or whatever, fireman scary for me was just like a pro wrestling hold. Like, it wasn't something that you would pass when you roll with someone in amateur wrestling, or a chicken wing or things like that. I didn't know that those things came from, amateur wrestling. Yeah. So this is your first opponent will be Dr. Death, Steve Williams. that day. Okay, Bruce, tell Vince, thank you for the idea. It's a great idea. I think I'll be there. And then I remember the adrenaline that started rushing a little bit, and then I figured out, okay, I got a week to get ready for this now, and I don't really barely, no, I've street fights and things like that in my life, but I never took boxing lessons or wrestling lessons or anything like that. I mean, the real shoot wrestling, you know, like I've learned a little bit with guys when I was at school. Because Dan Crowfat, you know, Phil Lafon was always telling me, you know, teach you some things just in case someone wants to, you know, take liberties on you, you'll be able to show him that you know, like some, you know, wrestling tricks, and then you'll gain some respect from your opponent, and that may save you a lot of problems. So I always kept that in mind. I've learned those tricks from Dan Crawford. And when I went there, I didn't know what I was going into. I just relied on my toughness as you know, since I was a kid. I had been involved in a lot of you know, fights, and so it was pretty good. So I just relied on my instinct to fight. You know, I had no techniques whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I was, every time I'd throw a punch, I'd go to, you know, pull his head off. You know, like to, I'd go for the big one. I was launching bombs all the time. You know, that pulls a lot of juice. I was not compact, and I was not throwing like just going with the speed. You know, it's like I was putting a lot of wide and large, and just trying just to hit him the big knockout. You know, that's what I had in mind. And that one thing that I didn't want to, I didn't want to get knocked out. Sure, that I wanted to avoid, you know, dancing like a slice of bacon on the floor. You know?
Yeah.
So that was, and I believed in my chance if I, you know, get 4 wins, and then I get, you know, $200,000 and maybe a good push after that.
Yeah.
So I went with it, and I'd say 16 guys made the tournament. Probably 25 guys were asked to be part of it. A lot of them turned it down. Like Ken Shamrock turned it down.
Wow.
Yeah, he said, I'm not going there swinging, you know, gloves with guys, you know, 300 pounds plus.
Yeah.
And having my hands, you know, fully, you know, recovered, so where you couldn't use his fingers, or he couldn't use his jiu-jitsu, or just like takedowns and boxing basically. So Shamrock turned it down. Jock turned it down. A bunch of guys turned it down. I got a lot of phone calls from the boys, from people saying, "Oh, don't get there. You're gonna look bad on TV if you get knocked out. It's gonna be pretty a disaster for your career." And on top of that, on my first fight against Steve Williams, Hawk of the Road Warriors came up to me, and he goes, "Carl, you know, Steve's he's a loose gun, you know, he's loose cannon, crazy. Yeah, you know his reputation. You know, he's been like, you know, torturing people all during the whole full time during his career." And I said, "I don't care." He said, "No, don't do that. Please, just, you know, for your health. Just when he tags you, just go down, pick up the 5G, and, you know, don't get up. Let him win." And I said, "No, Mike, just go back to Steve. Tell him to, can I swear on your show?"
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. I just tell him to go fuck himself, and I'm gonna give him the fight of his life. I'm gonna fucking knock him out. Just tell him that. And so just before we walked into the ring for the introduction, then Steve was banging his head on the lockers, and he was punching the lockers, and made a big show, looking at me, trying to intimidate me. And so that was basically it. And just before the match started, the coach, the former coach, was a well-known coach in the NFL, and had Coach Steve for Oakland Raiders, and said, nobody's gonna go to him, and I've seen him, with 100 stitches on his face, and he kept on wanted to play on the line and didn't want to quit the game. And so it was a big schwaz, big show about him, and but I wouldn't have laid down for no one,
Yeah.
for no money or for just to save my ass. I mean, that's not my type of guy. I'll go to war. Whatever I have to give it to you, I'll give it to you. But I'm not gonna push you out like that.
That was a great story. I was interested on that, and the other thing I'm interested about is you had a small time in WCW from about 96 to 97. You went over to WCW,
Yeah.
and what I really am interested in is the difference basically from working in the WWE under Vince and then over in the WCW under, I guess, at that time, Ted Turner, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff. It was Eric Bischoff and Kevin Sullivan.
Oh, so yeah.
Well, mostly it was all still. Hulk Hogan was mostly in charge. I guess because we're making our debut there. We're against Nasty Boys, and we're supposed to get over for the first night on Nitro. And the Nasty Boys, they're good friends of all, and they went to all the beach and finish on our debut. So, and that's the thing. I never really wanted to go to WCW because I didn't have. I really worked hard to create good relationship with Vince McMahon, with J.J. Dillon, with Bruce Pritchard, with Jim Ross, Jerry Briscoe, with Pat Patterson. It took time. It takes time to get to know people and to get them to know you and to know what you can do. And they have seen me from the beginning to working, main eventing Madison Square Gardens against Bret, or main eventing Forum against Jacques, or carried the tag team straps, when it meant something. And I felt like starting all over from scratch for me. And for Jacques, it was different because he had been in Pensacola with Robert Fuller. He knew Kevin Sullivan from another territory. And he knew those guys a little bit. But I was very always like a North guy territory. Brought up in Canada. Growing up watching AWA a little bit and watching mostly WWF and international wrestling, and seeing guys from like the Road Warriors or King Tonga and guys like that came into Montreal for the local territory back then. So going down south and going for people that I never met before, that I didn't know, or they didn't know me that much other than what they've seen on the other channel. But it's just an image, they don't know you personally. So so it wasn't like we were a little bit lost in the shuffle there. I feel it wasn't a great run. We had great matches with Hart. I really got along great with Stevie Ray, who's got to be one of the best friend I had there, over the years. I knew Hugh Morris because Bill was like my partner in Japan. And I knew a bunch of guys too that had moved from WWF to WCW. So as far as the boys, I got along good with pretty much everybody. But everybody from the office, I had to rebuild those contacts, which I didn't have time to do.
Yeah.
So that for me it wasn't a good experience. I mean, all experience are a good experience, but
not a
it turned
pleasant
out to
one.
be good.
Not a pleasant one.
Yeah.
But all that built the character, built what we have now in
Yeah.
PCO, and it was just recently announced. Ring of Honor, their reopening plans, what they have in store. I've talked to the Beer City Bruisers on here. They said Ring of Honor has been treating you guys great. Their mindset is all safety, this and that, and they just announced their reopening. PCO coming back. What are the plans for PCO Ring of Honor wise in the future when you can get back in that ring?
I think for the first tour, it's going to be hard for because they're working with the Athletic Commission in Maryland.
Okay.
They're really like on the edge, on their feet, and they really want to do like things aren't going to be like WWE or AEW,
Yeah.
where you won't have wrestlers around the ring cheering for the boys. It's going to be only like a ref and two guys. They're trying to minimize,
Yep.
the talent in the ring, minimize the talent around the ring, minimize the ring crew, minimize like everything. Guys basically are going to be transported in a different. You can't even use your own car. You have to use their car, which are like all sprayed and everything.
Yeah.
Disinfected and everything. And it's going to be only like a few guys at a time. You're going to be allow a certain amount of time per match. I mean, even if the match is 15 or 20 minutes, you're going to be allowed, like, because they have to change a new cover and do the ropes between every match. And so it's maybe an hour is going to be allowed for each and every match, by the time they start everything and they finish and end up everything. I mean, maybe the average would be a match per hour, even if the match is like 12, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So it's guys have to stay in their room. You can't, get out of their room. They have to go for some fresh air. They need to wear the mask all the time. So it's super, super like about health,
Yeah.
And no guys, no Canadian guys, no England guys, no guys from Australia. So there's no travel, not much traveling. Pretty much going to be guys within a radius of 6 hours of transportation by car. Maybe a few fly-ins in the States, and that's the way they're gonna start the first tour. And they really want to make a good impression with the Athletic Commission in Maryland.
Yeah.
They want them to be impressed because they want to, keep on throwing those. Eventually, as things get better, maybe the other tour and the next tour, then maybe we can start bringing guys from other countries. But I guess the mind state of the Athletic Commission is that we're not going to bring people from Canada that might infect people here, so or are going to get infected in their flight coming here.
Yeah.
And everybody's got to take a test at home first and send it by mail and test negative, and then 2 more negative tests. It's basically almost like the NHL bubble. It's going to be a bubble town.
Yep.
It's going to be Baltimore, Maryland at the UNBC.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the bubble system. That's what it is. So it's a very safe, healthy system.
I mean, it's working for sports right now. It sucks for you being up in Canada. I mean, you're up in Canada right now, right?
Yeah. So it's working well.
Yeah.
They're doing like nobody getting. There's no case whatsoever so far in the NHL. Yep. So everything works fine. So I think it's a good healthy system. Like I said, right now here in Canada, we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. So I guess maybe in a couple of months, because we started before. I remember because I was on a tour in Vegas, and Canada already started saying, okay, quarantine, this, lockdown, that, and the States are still like having shows, and still running shows, and casinos still open and things like that. So we were like ahead of you guys on moving forward with all the new rules and how to deal with that crisis. So that's why I think right now we're doing well. We just started before.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we could get on a whole. It's gonna be a whole nother show.
Yeah.
My personal belief is America needs to start over, shut us all down again for 4 to 6 weeks, and try to do it right this time.
Yeah.
But that's another show. PCO.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of your other projects, non-wrestling related. When I was learning and researching and doing a lot of stuff about you, are you working on a screenplay or a comic book of some sort?
Yeah, it's more. It's a screenplay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a movie. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, working on that.
Based around the PCO character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that'd be great.
And really to get since I didn't have like the time this year because of the pandemic, didn't have the time to do what I wanted to do with this character, so I decided to use that time to go ahead and make sure that the character would still evolve through this time. The character was not going to stay where it was when this whole thing started. The character has evolved, and I had envisioned a lot of things that could have happened in the ring, but couldn't do it. So I decided to make it on a film.
Yeah, like an alternate universe.
Yeah, but every time that we're shooting something where it's about 2 minutes and 20 seconds, the first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna put all those 2 minutes and 20 seconds adding up all together, and then that's gonna be like a movie. That's gonna make a movie by itself. We might have to change some scenes or redo some scenes or adapt the dialogue a little bit at different places. But that's going to be something where I want to do. I want to do a big launch of this, like just to invite everybody, the wrestling fans, the people from the movie industries, from like Netflix people and things like that, and then to invite them in LA in a theater, and then do like a premiere there, just in a just in one room, in one theater.
Yeah.
And I want to do one in Canada as well. So one in LA and one in Canada, and then from there, we probably go with season 2 or another screenplay that I've been working on. So this one is going to be evolving until the end of that season 1, and that's gonna turn out to be a movie, and then after that we're starting another screenplay, another movie.
Awesome.
So so there's a lot of work. The crew's been like getting bigger and bigger. Our studios are getting like, we got awesome studios now. We started, with a small team, and it just keeps on growing and just keeps on getting better, and everything keeps on getting better. And then now we get a lot of people that want to get into the project. So that's going to evolve a lot, and that's what it is.
Sweet.
It's gonna be good.
Sounds great.
Make something big. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. I've kept you long enough, man. This has been a great night. What I like to do at the end of all my shows is I give the mic to you. You can put over whatever you want. We've been putting links in the chat all night. You can plug anything. Tell us where to get anything, bury anything. I don't care. I won't interrupt you, PCO. The floor is yours.
Well, I don't know. Like, I've been doing a lot of cameos lately. I'm on cameos, and I've had like some pretty and in a way, I'm kind of asking myself, okay, why this is happening to me? Not because I do 3 or 4 a week, because I do different ones, but the one that stroked my imagination tonight, and I've got 2 days to deliver to the guy. He basically asked me to make him a cameo to motivate him, to give him the courage to go through what he's going through.
Oh,
He just had a heart transplant, but it's in titanium, and he's going through some rough times. And he said, "You've been like when I was watching wrestling with my dad that passed away. As a Quebecer, you were my hero. You were my hero as Jean-Pierre Lafitte, and you are now my hero. And I want you to shoot a video for me when I go through some rough time. I can look at my cameo, and that's gonna keep me moving forward."
wow.
So, and I'm asking myself, why me? And
Yeah.
I'm just thinking maybe watch the documentary done by Kenny
Yeah,
Johnson,
that was
or
great. Yeah. Yeah.
my interview with Chris Van Fleet on long interview at Chris Van Fleet house in Cincinnati before he moved to LA. And for whatever reason, I think it translated to my characters. PCO is not humans. PCO keeps going forward. PCO doesn't care about this or that. Doesn't care about what people are thinking or saying about age or not age, or as long as I perform, as long as I steal the show, as long as I am the man that the people wants to say to see, and as long as I can perform and be on a high level or performance,
Yeah.
I'm there with my goals, with my dreams, and I think if I do inspire others, all my life I've been inspired by guys like George Foreman, like Muhammad Ali, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. Those guys inspired me. And if I can create that same effect on other people on all walks of life, as guys in sports, guys like that with surgery, people going through some rough time, people who aren't happy with their job and they want to live out to their dream. If they reach out to me and they ask me to pump them up and give them like the fuel to get going, um, I feel like it's very rewarding,
Yeah.
you know, and it's it feels also that it's not a selfish purpose, but it's a very rewarding,
Yeah.
not as far as my ego, but as far as we are all together in this, and we're all trying to get better as person, uh, as monsters, as whatever we are. And I think at the end of the day, that's the legacy and the impact that I want to have on this business. I want to impact that business in a way that no one else has ever impacted the wrestling business. That's my goal, and I want to do huge numbers. But with those huge numbers, I want to be able to reach out to as many people as I can and be an inspiration and inspire people, because I've been inspired by so many great names and so many great people, and I just want to give back. And that's basically what I had to say.
Awesome. PCO, that cameo story was phenomenal. I am honored tonight to have you on the show. I'm grateful that you gave us this time, and yeah, man, I look forward to seeing you in the ring and everything you guys got going on. So,
I
th-
got I got I
yeah,
gotta congratulate you on your what were you trying to break tonight when I saw you on Twitter trying to break something? I'm
oh.
going to have PCO tonight.
Yeah.
I got to break this thing and a half.
So I love.
was so amazing, so cool. You had me going. I popped like crazy.
I love those segments that you guys did, and I almost took some jumper cables and like attached it to my body, but I had my 3-year-old with me, and I thought she might get scared. So I had this it was like a metal pipe, but it was bendable because I had bent it before because I bent it and broke it to fit something. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm gonna shoot this video and I'm gonna bend it, and if I can't bend it, I'll bend it on my knee. And I went to do it, and I couldn't do it. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. I just threw it.
I was entertained, and you had me going. I was laughing so hard.
I guess
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I had a lot of fun. And, yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I feel we could have talked all night. It was a great conversation.
It was a blast. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, have a good night. Later.
All right, bye.
Bye. Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome.
This guy's called the Standing Streamer. I have the balls to say things that nobody else has the balls to say. The champ is here! Woo!